Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm back. I'm Wegdan Rashad. And I don't know if you remember, I made videos a couple of months ago. And alhamdulillah, I got the ability to come back here and make another video. This one is quite different. I'm not going to talk about scholarships. I'm not talking about traveling. It's something that I noticed that most of us don't have very much experience in. Especially as being undergraduates, we have not really been taught how to seem competitive. So, bismillah, I'm going to create a sort of a video series on how to seem competitive. So the first question is, do you want to seem competitive? Yes? Well, me too. Okay, so we all want to sound competitive, and I believe that the first thing that we should try to learn in trying to be competitive, because we want to travel abroad and we want to get good positions, is that you must sound professional. Before you travel, before you meet them, you need to sound professional. And by professionalism here, I'm meaning in terms of getting in touch with either a professor or a hospital or a university or a research lab. We need to learn how to get in touch in a professional way. So, inshallah, bismillah, by the end of this, we would have learned a couple of things about how to sound formal and professional in emails. Before I get started on the actual details, why is sounding professional important? Imagine, for example, you're just sitting there and then this person comes along. Without you even thinking, you're going to start to judge them. Within the first few seconds, you're going to have some sort of judgment on them, either by the way they dress, or their body language, or their clothes, or the way they talk. Okay? Now, this person that you're emailing cannot see you. So on what basis are they going to judge you? They're going to judge you on the basis of the way that you write. So they're going to look at your overall structure that you've written in, your punctuation, your grammar, your tone. These are the things that give an impression about who you are. If you write a serious and formal email, most likely you're going to receive a serious and formal response. Many doctors I've spoken to don't reply to some of the emails from their students, not because they ask stupid questions, because the way that they addressed them was too informal or rude or basically unprofessional. So we want to try to sound as professional as possible. So let's start with step one. Number one is you got to know two things. You got to know why you're getting in touch and who you're getting in touch with. So say I want to get in touch with a professor to ask for a recommendation letter, or I'm getting in touch with a doctor to ask about more details about a certain elective program. So first of all, I need to know why. That's number one. Be very clear on what you want. You don't want to go into an email that is vague and you're not sure, and you leave the person reading your email feeling very confused. So that's not what we want. Number two is who you're getting in touch with. This is really important. You know that obviously you have to know their name. You need to know their position. And it won't take you too long if you just go on Google and find just a little bit about this person. I mean, it's a little bit embarrassing if you're thinking that you're getting in touch with the secretary and you write, "Dear Mrs. Carter," when in fact it's actually a doctor. Okay? So you need to be kind of sure about who you are addressing and who you're speaking to. Number two is your email address. Obviously, to send an email, you need an email address. I gave you a couple of examples, and you kind of try to guess with me which one would sound professional. From high school, you could use your email from high school, like what? Like wiggy_is_cool@yahoo.com or whatever. This is good for your friends, for your family, but this is not a good idea for an email name to be sending to a professor that you're going to be working with. Okay? That's number one. So the first one obviously is out. Second one, doctorawigo@hotmail.com. Okay, you might have written this when you're in college and you're a little older, but still it's not good enough. How about Dreaming Star Angel 3458? Still, that's still very unprofessional, okay? So the first three things, email names, not a good idea. If you want to sound professional and you want to be taken seriously, it's not cool to say that your name is Dreaming Star Angel. Okay, so the last two are the ones that sound logical. Your first name and your second name. Wegdan_Rashad at gmail.com. This is good because it has your full name and it sounds pretty reasonable. If you have an institutional email address, i.e. meaning that it's your first name, second name, and some sort of university that you're affiliated with, this is better to use than a Gmail or Yahoo or whatever address. If you don't, then it's okay. It doesn't matter. Just use this one. It doesn't have to be for Harvard, of course. You know, it could be Wegdan_Rashad at Qasr al-Aini University. Actually, Qasr al-Aini and many universities here in Egypt are beginning to make email addresses for their students, so make use of that, right? Great. So let's just reach an agreement that your name must be professional. Third, your subject line. So you're going to ask for a recommendation letter, or you're going to ask for more details. What do you write in the subject line? Some people, when they can't think of something to write in the subject line, they just leave it empty. That's not cool. Okay, so that's not good at all. We want a subject line that is short, sweet, and to the point. We don't want to write whole paragraphs. Let's take a look at some examples. I don't know if you can see it very well here, but I took a screenshot from subject lines that I'd written. So here's the first one. My subject line is a question. Is that good? Obviously not. Look, he's not a very happy monkey. Alright, because it's very vague. So, he's not going to pick out your email from hundreds of emails on his inbox with one written a question. Let's look at the second one. It says here, I would like to ask about the requirements to apply for your program. That's one hell of a long subject line. Okay, and the monkey is not happy. Here's one that actually is kind of reasonable and kind of sensible. It's not too long and it's not too short. Subject, requirements for whatever program, or request for recommendation letter. 3 or 4 words. You can keep it 2 words even if you want, no problem, but as long as it's kind of specific and not too vague. You know, sometimes they could think it's spam or something if you'd written, you know, in your subject line, hello, I am so and so, and I would like to ask. Some people actually put the whole message into the subject line, believe it or not. Alright, so we agreed on the subject line. We want to create it something short and sweet and very specific. So we have to greet them. Usually we start with dear. Okay, so we usually dear whatever. Okay, sometimes you can say hello, but in most cases, if you haven't met them, if you don't know them, it's better to start with dear. Then you gotta know about the title of the person you're addressing. So, dear Dr. Smith. Dear Professor Clark. So, dear Mr., dear Mrs., dear Miss, Ms., or Sir, Madam. When would you use any of those? Usually, if they're an older kind of professor or doctor, and you're not sure if they're a professor or a doctor, I would use professor. If they are young doctors, I would stick to doctor, okay? If you're sure that they're not in the medical field entirely, then you could start using any of those. Better, if he's a male, obviously you use Mr. When it comes to females, you gotta be a little bit sensitive, okay? So, if you don't know about the person's marital status, best thing you could do, and this is what I always do, even if I know if they're married or not, I would use MS, okay? Which means unidentified marital status, and I'm just out of respect, you know, I'm not going to specify. I'm not going to pick on that point. So I would say MS, whatever, is the name. If you're not sure about the gender, if you're getting in touch with an office, then it's better to go dear sir / madam. Okay, and that's pretty straightforward, yeah? And then you start writing their name. The general rule is you'd want to use, of course, after the greeting, after the title, you want to use either their first and second name together, or just their first or their last, or just their last name. So dear Dr. Muhammad Salah or dear Dr. Salah. And obviously you put a comma after the name. Not a really cool idea to call them dear Dr. Muhammad or dear Dr. Susan. It's best to stick to their last name. Okay? And even when you find them replying and they write, for example, from Susan, okay, it's not an indication that you write to them back, dear Susan. Okay? She might refer to herself as Susan, but that doesn't give you the permission to call her Susan. You put still in the position, dear Dr. blah, 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 unless she says, you know what, you can call me Susan if you want. There's no problem. So that's something you should always keep in mind. Okay, so title is really important. It'll sound disrespectful if you don't use the doctor, professor, Mr., Mrs. kind of thing. Some people take it to heart. Some people are not so picky, but it's good to stay on the safe side. It's good to stay formal as much as possible. All right? So we've written the title. Now we want to kind of start off the conversation. And usually the first few lines are those that determine how they will read your email. If the first few lines are very repulsive and full of requests or, missing major grammar or punctuation, they're going to be put off from the beginning of it and say, this person's not serious. Why should I bother? I usually like to introduce myself. I say, I'm Wegdan Rashad, a fifth-year medical student in Cairo, Egypt. Just a line or so, just telling them who you are. Okay, you just don't want to jump into the topic straight away. You give them a little bit of an idea about who you are, or say, I'm Wegdan, a medical student who was under your supervision 2 years ago in the research lab of whatever, just to remind them of who you are. I often like to start after that. I say, I hope this email finds you well, or I hope you are having a nice day so far, or something like that. If I know them, I would use, I hope you're having a nice day so far, but usually I could say, I hope this email finds you well. I'm Wegdan Rashad, a fifth-year medical student in Cairo University. Okay, so that's the first line, just to show them that you actually care about them and that kind of thing. So you've introduced yourself. Let's get to the actual message, the cheese of the message. This is the most important part. A few tips. First of all, get to the point. Don't write your life story. This is not a life story. This is not, you trying to beg somebody to love you, okay? You want to get to the point. You want to tell them what you want in a very polite way, a courteous way, and at the same time sound professional. You want to take care of your capitalizations, grammar, your punctuation. Okay, I'm going to discuss that a bit later on with you. Exclamation marks and smileys. Big thing. I mean, it's so simple to say, just don't use exclamation marks. Don't use smileys. These things seem kind of unprofessional. And I was reading a quote and it really made me laugh. And it says, using exclamation marks in messages is a sign of an insane mind. Okay? And a person that uses more than 5 exclamation marks after each other in a message is considered totally crazy. This is like, he was a professor and he was speaking and he was joking about it and how he was talking about how it's really unprofessional when you use exclamation marks in your writing, okay? Or smileys or, stuff like that, like this. I mean, it's cute and everything, but it's not professional. Obviously, without me saying, we don't use the lol, the ROTFL, WTF, laughing my ass off, etc., etc. We don't use it, and we don't even use etc., etc. Okay? So these are the kind of things, a very brief idea. I'm going to delve a little deeper into this part, capitalizations, grammar, and punctuation. We're going to take a brief English lesson, and I'm hoping that you're going to like it, because it's not just going to be me explaining, it's going to be a little interactive. So here's 3 little messages that I got, real life examples that I got from emails, right? And we're going to look at through each one. So it says, This is one example. Says Ahmed was in Washington D.C. and he met some friends, and then they went out to the cinema where they watched The Hobbit. It was amazing. Okay. Another one says, I really appreciate your help, doctor, comma, 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 comma. Thanks a lot, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. A third one says, doctor, I really need a recommendation letter from you, dot, 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 dot. I need it for my application to program. Okay, so let's correct them together. What do you think is kind of the problem? I'm going to highlight them for you. So, first of all, when you begin your sentence, you begin it with a capital letter. Yes, that's kind of important. So Ahmed should be in capital. Names should be in capital, even if they're in the middle of sentences. Like Washington, D.C., we use capital W. D.C. Okay, this is an abbreviation, and this is the name of a place, so we use capital D, capital C. And he met some. Okay, we kind of know the idea here. It's S-O-M-E. Please, let's, before you send your email, copy and paste it into a Word document. And usually on Word doc, they can do a spell check for you. So just to prevent those very embarrassing spelling mistakes, do copy and paste it on a Word doc if you have to. And some emails actually have pretty good spell check. So please make sure you spell check your messages, because you don't want to seem like a lazy person. If you don't check your spelling, it gives a very obvious impression that you're kind of lazy. You can't be bothered to even reread your message. Okay? And friends, E, it's the IE thing. Okay? And this, it won't take you too long to write A-N-D instead of using this mark. So it sounds professional to kind of write it out properly. And then they went out to the cinema. Where? Yeah, there's a problem with the where and the where. I don't want to go into the grammar thing of it, but just do check before you're writing. So it should be where. Where as in the place. Where they watched The Hobbit. The problem here is the use of capitalizations in the middle of sentences. Even if you want to scream it out, I'm sure the person reading it will not be wanting to scream it out. So let's not scream it out, and let's write it in lowercase as it was supposed to be. But keep the capital H, because this is a name. So The Hobbit, H-O-B. So let's just correct it. It was amazing. Now, the exclamation marks. It's crazy. Okay? You don't even need an exclamation mark. So just get rid of them all. Oh, there we go. Yeah? So, here's some things that let's look at the next one. When you're thanking a doctor for sending you a recommendation letter. I really appreciate your help, comma, 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 comma. Doctor, thanks a lot. Okay, it's kind of obvious what's wrong here. The capital. Really, we don't want to capitalize in the middle of sentences. Never capitalize in the middle of sentences in a formal email. Okay? Appreciate your. We also have the problem with the your, R-E, or your. When you are your, R-E, is actually you are. Okay? It's actually you are. Does that make sense? It says, I really appreciate your help. No. So if you get confused between that, always break it down and say, is it you are or your? So if you say it's your, then let's just stick to that. Okay? Help, comma, comma, comma. There is no need to add excessive commas. And lots of people do this, even professionals. Professional doctors do this. And I don't see the point of it. It's just over the top. You don't need all these commas. You just only need one. You might not even need one at all, but okay. And doctor, I don't know. Doctor something. I usually want to write a name. I don't usually like to leave it doctor like that. And thanks a lot. Let's just put in some effort to spell it right. And no exclamation marks. So here's an example of how it could sound. To sound formal. This is just, I'm correcting this grammatically, but this is how to sound formal. If you want to tell someone that you appreciate their help, you could sound formal by saying that. You could say, I truly appreciate your assistance, Dr. Smith. Thank you. Okay? Using really and thanks a lot and that kind of thing maybe doesn't sound as formal as it could be. third example is, Doctor, I really need a recommendation letter from you, ... I need it for my application to XX program. Usually when we put those dots, they refer to us thinking. Okay, you might be thinking, and it's a good thing that you're thinking, but I'm not sure if they really want to know whether you're thinking or not. So you can add your dots while you're writing it, but please take care to remove it before you send it. So you can tell there's little things like I really need or I need. Usually we don't use the word need or want when we're addressing someone formally. We could say something like this. I am currently applying for program XX, and I would be grateful if you could assist me in the application process by providing me with a recommendation letter. Or could you kindly provide me with a recommendation letter? Or I would appreciate a recommendation letter. It's very simple that we don't want to sound like we're desperate and I really need it and I want it, and that's the formal kind of tone that makes people, when they read it, kind of take you seriously a little bit. Alright? So I told you kind of a lot of stuff, so let's recap a wee bit. It says, be careful with capitalizations at the beginning of sentences, only with names, with places. Alright? Try to sound professional. Avoid I need, I want. Instead, you say I'd like to request, or could you please provide me with. Okay? Grammar. It's very easy. It's very simple. You could just put it on Google, go online and try to fix it up. It doesn't take time at all. And once you get used to it, you'll find yourself writing really, really well. Even if your English is not so fluent, you're going to find yourself writing really, really super well. If you just get used to the idea of spell check. Punctuation, put your full stops in the right places. Don't put too many commas. Don't put too many dots. Don't put too many exclamation marks or question marks. Yeah, remember, exclamation marks are a sign of an insane mind. I always find that funny for some reason. I don't know why. Okay. So you told them what you wanted. I would like to request a recommendation letter, whatever. Oh, by the way, this is wrong, of course. Let us. Yeah, so you've said what you wanted, and you want to show them appreciation. Most likely, you're getting in touch with people who are busy, grumpy, they got too much work to do, they're probably not so excited about reading emails, so it would be really nice if you could show them a little bit of appreciation. So, I appreciate you taking time to read this email, or thank you for your time, or I look forward to hearing from you soon. Something like that to end the message. And the final goodbye is when you use yours sincerely or sincerely, yours respectfully, kind regards, best wishes, thank you. All those could be possible. Doesn't matter which one of them you use, really. They're all kind of formal and nice in a way. And don't forget the capitalization and the commas. Yeah? And then you take a space, and then you write your name at the bottom. There's something called a signature. I don't know if you're all familiar with it, but some people have their signatures. Is that when they send the email, it's like a certain message that is sent to everybody. It's like your little signature at the bottom. It's like a preset thing. So some people forget that they're getting in touch. So, they use their email for their friends and family, and sometimes they send emails to formal people, and they forget their signature is kind of a cheesy thing. Like, for example, some people write in their signatures some quotes from movies or religious stuff or song lyrics like this. Here's some that I actually have from my friends. I saw them. This is a signature. I'm gonna be great one day. It's cute and everything, but Or somebody wrote lyrics from the Titanic song. Near, far, wherever you are, I believe my heart does go on. Or أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. That's lovely وكل حاجة, but not professional. So please, if you want to do a signature, stick to your name, position, phone number, your phone number or your fax or something like that. Okay? Whew. Alright, so we're kind of nearly done. A couple of things. Yeah, as I told you, I like to start my emails with, I hope this email finds you well, or, something nice, something, but at the same time formal, of course. Yes, very important thing here is don't even think about plagiarizing. Plagiarizing is basically copying and pasting something already done without kind of quoting where it's from. So some people, sadly, get already written down emails, like things produced online, and they copy and paste it and they actually send it like that. It's not cool, it's not good, it doesn't give a very good impression about you. So please be careful when you do that. Some people have a problem with language, so they might use Google Translate. So you write your message in Arabic or whatever language you speak, and then it translates it in English. Please make sure that the English translation is not always good. Try as much as you can to fix up the grammatical issues associated with it. Get in touch with someone who is good in English. Have somebody online review it for you. It's not a problem at all. Actually, it's never wrong to ask for help, but it's always a mistake when you have too much pride to ask for help. Okay? Yeah, and please show appreciation. Most doctors are busy and grumpy and blah blah blah, and they have lots of emails coming to them every day, and you're not exactly, a very special person to them. Not saying you're not special, but I'm saying that you're not necessarily the most special person or the biggest priority for them. So make sure that your email shows appreciation at the end of it. And yes, a little exercise for you, and I hope that you guys write this down in the comment section below. Say this is an example. You're applying for an elective program and you want to ask for more details. Okay, you're getting in touch with a doctor called Matt Clark, and he's in charge of the program. So I want you to construct a sample email of the subject and the message and how you would send it. So I want you to go like, Dear Dr. Matt Clark, say your message in 3 lines or 4 lines, do your ending, do your little signature, and write it in the comment section, and we can take a look at it, and we can try to see if there's any problems with it or whatever. We can fix it up together. Don't hesitate to do that. That'd be cute. And the best one gets a chocolate. I don't know how, but yeah, best one gets a chocolate. Final words. I'd like to thank Ahmed Al-Khanani. He helped me quite a lot with the. He encouraged me to make this email. He encouraged me to make this video. And he gave me a couple of tips to suggest. He also recommended this book called Emily Post's Etiquette, and basically it's this nice book that tells you how to be polite and have manners in dealing with not only emails but just basically in dealing generally with doctors, with people. It's kind of a nice book. I don't have it. I read a review about it and it seems like a good book. And finally, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this video. Feel free to ask whenever you want. Sharing is caring. If you feel somebody would benefit from this video, do share it. Inshallah, within the next few weeks or so, after exams probably, I'll be continuing making other videos about professionalism and presenting yourself, and hopefully also aiming to make a video about how to keep motivated during exam times and stuff like that. Okay, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time and your attention. I hope you have a good day, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.